Jambo Arama.
Hey, good morning, Brother Gerald.
Good morning to you, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Habari ya wiki?
Wiki imekuwa busy bwana, hustle plantation. Weeds imekuwa nyingi bwana, inabidi tupalilie.
Unapalilia plantation.
Inabidi bwana.
It's good to see you, but it's another Thursday. It's been a long week. The crazy things have been happening all over. Na unajua mambo yanaendelea huku Kenya pia. Mambo ni mengi. Every day is a new day with different things. This country is very scandalous. But it's good to see you. How has your week been like?
The week has been good. Busy as usual. Kazi, but we are good. We are blessed. Yes.
Tunashukuru Mungu, at least afya ipo.
Yes.
Haya, naona uko na watu wako tayari wameshafika. Sijui kama unaweza chukua wakati uweze kuintroduce.
Haya, wacha nianze na Bwana Masi. Bwana Masi, salimia wananchi bwana.
Mimi sina maneno mengi. Mjambo wala watu ambao wako nyumbani. I hope mtakuwa na siku njema. Sisi hapa ni usiku wa manane, lakini tuko sawa sawa, hakuna maneno. Ni kuangalia tuone topics gani tutapata kudiscuss leo. Alafu we can see the way forward.
Ndio mama kuficha sura Masi. Nimekuona.
Sura yangu iko.
Nimekuona. Kuna bro mama kwa scandalous.
Hapana.
Kina Alex wako wapi? Masi?
Yeah.
Umeweka wapi kina Alex?
Sijui watu walienda wapi. So wacha tutaona, pengine watajoin in time. Unajua mambo ya tunajua hapa tulikuwa na 1 hour change yenye tulimove what do you call? We fell back 1 hour, so pengine hiyo timing ndio.
Ndio mnapotelea. Haya basi
so kuna Kenya saa hizi ati?
So Kenya nyinyi mko 1 hour ahead.
No, tuko 1 hour behind.
Ahead,
no, we went 1 hour
it's
ahead. 1 hour ahead.
It's ahead.
Spring forward. In spring bwana.
Spring, and then we fall back. Ni kweli.
Tuna fall back.
Naona pia Genevieve has joined us for the first time. Genevieve, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you for the first time. I hope the next week we are going to see your face, at least.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Next week I'll be ready.
Nani mwingine yupo Arama?
Naona kuna mwingine hapo nambari 978 bwana, hebu salimia wananchi, alafu after that bwana Steve David. Mwenye nambari 9 inaanzia na 978, hebu salimia wananchi. Haya, twende kwake Steve David basi.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
Okay. You don't think you can see me?
No, not yet.
Okay. So how's your morning?
My morning is good.
Okay.
Maybe now the guys who are in diaspora now who are in the night.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's night there.
Yeah. So where are you speaking to us from, David?
I'm in Nairobi.
Wewe uko diaspora ya Nairobi.
Uko diaspora ya Nairobi.
Kila mtu anataka kuwa diaspora. Haya. Tunakutakia yote mazuri. Nani mwingine yupo?
Naona Kevin Bellion amejoin. Kevin drop haraka.
Amechomoka.
Yeah. Atajoin tena baadaye basi.
I think atarudi.
Yeah. Ndio naona watu tuko nao so far leo.
Right. I think we can start with you, Rama. I think they'll come as the show runs. We can start with you to ambie you maybe the thoughts of the week, what you've seen through the week, and namba ambao umekuwa ukifikiria.
Yeah. Gerald, mimi naanza na the miracles of the century. We have members of parliament, senators, MCAs that can fly through the air to international countries during lockdown, and they were paid for it. I'm talking about a report that was published on Standard March 23rd, that was yesterday, that state officials gobble billions on trips and hotels. And they're saying between July and September, they used 628 million. That is when the airports were closed. There were no flights in and out of Kenya or to any other country. Europe was closed because that's most of people connecting flights. But these people spend 628 million, Gerald.
Wow.
In the meantime, hakuna mask, hakuna madawa, hakuna vitanda, hakuna oxygen. But people were submitting per DM and getting money. 628 million, Gerald. 1 point something billion these people spend on hospitality, entertainment. So to me, it's like, which country are we living in? And then the other thing that I've seen, of course, with the COVID that is hitting a lot of prominent people, it's bringing the reality back that this COVID is real. I saw an article today, I think it was today or yesterday, I think it's today, of this mama mwenye alikuwa dragged na watu ya Kanjo ya Kisumu.
Yeah, very sad.
Very sad. Gerald, I'm like, that's somebody's mother, that's somebody's grandmother.
Yeah.
What are you doing? There is no law in the country or in the county provisions for you that allows you to drag somebody in a vehicle on the street. What people forget is if that person takes you to court, and I hope they will be taken to court, there is no protection for you as an individual trying to enforce something that is illegal. You can arrest that person if that is what you're allowed to do, but you cannot drag somebody in the street on a speeding vehicle. That's attempted murder.
Yeah.
To my understanding, because you put that person's life in danger. But this is how low we are going. And then, Gerald, I see the report about, hey, now if you want a vaccine, you need to come up with 11,000 Kenya shillings for you to get a vaccine. On the other side, the crisis with the ICUs. Now, for you to get a bed in the ICU of your family member or your friend, lazima uweke 650,000 kwa mkono kwanza ya kashia kwa hospitali.
Na wanasema hakuna vitanda, kumbe ni pesa ndio nataka.
Ni pesa. 650,000. Jared, who can afford that? Yeah. Hata tukianza kufanya mchango bwana, it will take a whole month before we can raise 650 for somebody who doesn't have anything.
Yeah, sure.
That's where our country is right now. And we are busy every day making noise. Oh, sijui wapi huyu, sijui nini, sijui BBI, now BBI naye imefika parliament, people want to make changes. I mean, it gets to a point you almost give up, but it's our country, we need to find ways to fix it. So that's in a nutshell what I've seen for the week.
Okay. All right, Masi, then we go to Genevieve. Any thoughts of the week?
Yeah, I think Arama ameiba some of my ideas because nilikuwa naangalia mambo ya, the lady that was drugged by the pickup truck. Paka unashindwa sasa hii, I mean, where we, humanity iko wapi? I mean, ile mtu, hata kama ni mama anauza viazi ama, I mean, seriously, sometimes some crimes, hata kama, I don't know if it was a crime, but still, kuna vile unaweza treat mtu. Alafu secondly, kuna hiyo mambo ya vaccines. Hopefully the vaccines that have been sent to Kenya, hiyo inaitwa Sputnik. I think nimeona watu wakipost ma pictures ya hiyo. Shida yangu ni bei hasa 11,000. Hata hapa America, I mean, that's $110. That's very expensive.
Yeah.
What else? Mambo ya BBI kidogo imepoa, lakini hiyo mambo vile Warama amesema mambo tunataka kuweka changes na kila kitu mambo ya BBI, so vile tunangoja tuone. So walikuwa wamekataa mambo ya changes, so inakaa tena kuna watu, I mean, kuna some moves, I mean, in terms of I don't know if there's leeway to change it, so nasikia kuna hiyo debate pia. So as time goes to discuss other topics, lakini nilikuwa nafikiria in the first place.
Okay. Genevieve, any thoughts of the week?
Yeah, mine, I was just concerned about the vaccination in Kenya. So I was wondering, some people were saying, like, inatoka Russia, na iko na side effects. They were talking about somebody who had effects on the vaccine. Kiraitu Murunguri.
Kiraitu Murungi.
Yeah, Kiraitu Murungi. Did he react na hiyo vaccine? and ama ilikuwa
No, I think he had turned COVID positive. That was a conversion that's what I knew. There's an information I had at that time.
Yeah, after getting vaccinated, right? Yeah. So how effective is this? And then another thing is, I was trying to call my village health people so that they can give the elderly priorities. And the answer I got is, ni watu wa June, July huko, you know. But then come to realize that some people in between, they are not old and they are not first responders in anything, and yet they are getting the vaccine. So kuna hii, this is kujuana pia, you know. So those are the concerns that we have here. How are they gonna give this vaccine fairly to the people who deserve it first? The elderly and first responders. These many people that are healthy wangoje, lakini nasikia wanapata.
Okay, that's interesting. And you see, Inchi, they're saying actually they are charging up to even 100,000 shillings for someone to get vaccinated.
Oh, you mean you're paying for it?
No, saa hizi ndio inaanza kuuzwa. Wakarabati wako Kenya pia.
I thought ni serikali inapeana for free.
Kenya iko na watu wake. Some people are paying for it.
So what makes you think these other people itatengenezwa River Road?
That's what I'm saying now. There needs to be there's a city, because I'm also seeing some recommendations from KEPSA, that is Kenya Private Sector Association. They were saying that the private sector also needs to be given a blanket indemnity to also import, so that there could be some level of accountability in terms of
competition.
So that we see more Kenyans can be able to get vaccinated, because there's a danger of having one person getting us the vaccines, and then again this same person that owns the vaccine, and gives it at will. In government, Kenya has clearly deliberated for the last time, has clearly expressed and showed us that it has no capacity to manage the public, things that needs to go to the public. So I don't know, but I feel KEPSA could be right, but again there's the danger of now maybe missing out on the standards, on the standardization. Maybe that's where the government now needs to tighten the nose. But again, when you look at KBS, it has been accused of taking bribes to approve and accredit products. So, I mean, we are between a rock and a very, very hard place. But the uptake also of the vaccine has been really low. I don't know for what reasons, but I think the government has not really taken time to demonstrate. Because also seeing on the papers, which I think we look on the headlines later, maybe we might be able to see what other people are thinking about the same thing when we get to the main topics. Lakini maybe what we do is waja tupe mtu mwingine nafasi tuone. Sijui nani bado yuko Arama? You can give us the thoughts of the week. Ndio tukirudi maybe tuangalie mambo.
Naona David bado yuko na. Let me see who else. Yep. David?
Hello?
Yes, David.
Okay, I can pick up from where Arama alianza. Na hiyo ni kuhusu okay, you talked about kupunguza. Anyway, maybe I can pick from what I read yesterday. Civil servants are going to be taxed more. Ama watapunguzwa zile allowances from July. I don't know whether you read something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my point is actually simple. Kenyans, especially civil servants, we are paying the price for this government. Hata hizi vaccines vile zimekuja, not the majority of civil servants bado haja access. Ni wale high level civil servants ndio wao wanapata hizi vaccines. But wao ambao wako huku chini, wao ndio I mean, they are just being taken for granted. Unaona? But so hiyo tax not allowance kati kikuja July, they are the one who will suffer. Hizo allowance per DM and the rest. You see, so we are the civil servants, who are many, are paying the price for this government. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think now we can open the discussion, and Arama, I would wish to also start with you
Yes.
on the issues of the COVID-19, which is now sweeping. And I tend to believe that maybe Kenya didn't have COVID before when we were doing all the reactions, because when you look at the numbers right now, it looks so real. And finally you can pinpoint the names. The numbers are now turning into names of people that you know, and the government is coming out to tell us that there are no beds. Whose responsibility is it to provide beds?
Gerald, it's not that COVID was not there. The initial reaction of the government and lockdown and making people become very serious with masking and social distancing was effective. The problem is, as usual, as human beings, we get to a point we become complacent. Unasema hii corona iko, so kama ni mbaya wacha tuendelee vile tunaendelea. Now it's coming in, and then it's compounded with another issue that you are getting both the South African variant and the one from Europe. So when you combine those two, it's devastating. Because based on some reporting that I've seen on ASEMA, if you get any of those variants, by the time you realize you are sick, it's too late for you. You spend less than 4, 5 hours, 10 hours, a day or two if you're lucky. And if you get some very good top-notch medical care, but then you're just counting days. So now that's when it's becoming real to a lot of people. All these issues of meetings, to some extent, I was laughing when I saw the people in Nairobi who were arrested for contravening the curfew, and they were put in for community service. I'm like, well, that is better than being in jail, crowded, and you're spreading the COVID. I was having a discussion, and maybe Gerald, you can confirm, or anybody else who has some information. As far as I remember, if I remember our hospitals the way they are, community service, I'm like, well, that is better than is just in jail, crowded, and you're spreading the COVID. I was having a discussion, and maybe Gerald, you can confirm, or anybody else who has some information. Somebody has a feedback. As far as I remember, our hospitals the way they are, community service. I'm like, well, that is better than is just in jail, crowded, and you're spreading the COVID. I was having a discussion, and maybe Gerald, you can confirm, okay? Anybody else who has some information. Somebody has a feedback. As far as I remember, our hospitals the way they are, community service. I'm like, well, that is better than is just in jail, crowded, and you're
Amanda mute, I think.
Spreading, I know there was a playback on their side. Either somebody else had gone, either radio or something. Are we back? Okay, anybody else who has somebody has a feedback.
Sijui, wacha tuone to discussing my issues, tuone vile kutakuwa, lakini sijui watu wengi, nimejaribu kuupdate watu wengine hapa wajoin. Tuone vile kutakuwa. Amanda mute, I think.
Rama,
Watu leo inakawa lala ama ni?
is it clear now?
We're still live. Gerald, are we back?
Yeah. Nipo, I hope you're not getting any feedback. Rama. Jambo.
Hey.
I don't know where we were getting the feedback from. So ilikuwa inatoka wapi? The echoes.
Yeah, it looks like either somebody had a phone close by, it's going to play back.
Looks like, yeah.
Yeah, because if you're watching on Facebook, there is a minute or so, some time delay. So anyway, Gerald, what I was saying is one of the challenges we have in Kenya right now is our testing process is bogus or non-existent to that matter. I'll give you an example. If today, umesikia tu, either you had some people had some issues, and you were going for your regular visit to the hospital, and then unafika unaambiwa, hey, you're going to be admitted. You don't get tested for COVID. You just admitted for whatever you have. And then unawekwa kwa general ward with everybody else. Now, if one of the people in that ward has COVID, you see it's going to spread among all those people who are in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
And then it's when you are tested positive, ndio unapelekwa kwa isolation ward. But it's already too late. You have already spread to all the other people. And so now the healthcare system has to rethink the approach. And the government has to provide ways to do effective testing to be able to curb the spread, because it is going to start knocking out people at a higher rate if we don't have effective plans. All the money that was given out by EU, the US gave some funding. Hiyo pesa yote Gerald ilienda kwa mifuko ya watu. Remember the COVID millionaire fiasco? That was the money was supposed to be sent to the counties. People prepare, put up beds. Now this is where the counties are going to be found out who was ready and who was not. Ile mambo ya kwenda kufungua 2 room, unasema ati unafungua clinic and you are there basking in the sun and taking pictures, you're opening a hospital, and it's just a 2 room structure. That is not a hospital. That's a storage unit. Why are you saying that's a hospital? That's not even a clinic. You can't call that a clinic. Sasa saizi ndio mambo inaanza, but you know, still we have ways we can at least slow it down. Masking, social distance, sanitize, wash, you know, do what you can. And at the same time also, the people who are supposed to enforce, and these are the police. Kwa nini munashika mtu alafu mnawapeleka mnawarundika kila mtu kwa cell? There are no mask. You are effectively spreading the same. I am also even concerned about the directive the president gave. For example, anasema, you are not supposed to bury your person who dies, unfortunately, within 72 hours. However, you can get an exception. You get approval from the county commissioner or whoever is supposed to, either chief or whatever. But Gerald, that you're opening up ways of corruption. Because Gerald, sasa si ukienda chief akisema nikuandikia barua, kitabu ya Harambee ndio hii hapa, jaza kwanza. So you are making life more difficult for people who are facing problems, but you are even making it worse, because now not only am I going to plan for the funeral for my loved person, if I need some of the family members to travel into Afike and they're not going to be there within the 72 hours, I need an exception. Now I have to think of, if the chief or whoever is in charge to give those exceptions is not somebody who is upright or straight, that means I have to start planning to give money for me to get that exception. So adding more stress to the people who are having problems. So the government really needs to think and evaluate. You have to think of the impact of the policies you're putting in place, the edicts, the instructions you are giving. You can't just come up and say, hey, 72 hours. Is it logical? Do you have the logistics? Now, if the government says, hey, we are going to help you bury your person within 72 hours, that's a different story. Then yes, I would say, okay, it's doable. Because then the government provides the services to do that. But it doesn't. It can't do that. So, Gerard, it's almost looking at a hopeless situation, but it's not all lost. Now, when the Minister of Health or the Cabinet Secretary for Health comes and says that vaccination itaenda mpaka was it 2023 or 2025?
2023 to vaccinate 30% of the population.
And that's 30%. Yeah, not even 50. 30%. I mean, where we are right now, the president said he is targeting to vaccinate everybody who wants to be vaccinated by before 4th of July, which is ni kama jamhuri ya hapa. Everybody needs to be vaccinated by then. That is the target. Sasa sisi tunasema 2023 30%, jameni, that's a joke. Yeah? That's a joke. And this is why these people are spending so much money on hospitality, kukunywa chai na mandazi. You don't think of people until some of these guys are impacted directly. And God forbid, I don't pray for that to happen to anybody. But sometimes when it hits you home, that's when you realize how serious this is. And then maybe you will start changing your way of thinking. You know, I remember when the whole COVID started, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was they were trying to make in one of the counties in Kenya. I don't want to make specifics on the county. But this gentleman was in a meeting, and they were trying to provide advisory on how to mitigate and how to help people. And the county person in charge of health, akaanza kusema, you know, we can do this. But then the guy brought him to reality. Akamuuliza, do you realize where you are staying? Your nearest healthcare facility is this here that has 5 beds only. na hizo bed sizes they are occupied and they are shared by 2 people in one bed. Akamwambia, if you get sick right now, you can't even be transferred to the nearest, biggest hospital because there are restrictions for traveling. You are going to die here with me. If I get sick, we are going to die together, and you are still the big person in the county. So we need to start thinking of putting systems in place and building facilities in our local areas. You have to start thinking of, supposing is critical, and I don't have a choice. Do I have a facility here that can at least help me out when I need that help before I can get to a even more funded facility? Kwa sababu kila mtu akitegemea ati nitakuwa flown to South Africa or whatever, my friend, you will die before you get there.
Utasonga.
But if you're in the hospital where you are, it will be a different story.
That's true. Doro, jambo. Doro ameingia.
Yeah.
Doro, hi.
Sasa, habari yenu?
Salama sana. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, very clearly, but we cannot see you.
Yeah, I'm at work.
Oh,
sorry.
All right. It's good to see you. Mara yako ya kwanza pia hapa kama Genevieve, so maybe I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself very quickly, then we take you back to the topic of the day.
Well, my name is Doro, as in Dorothy Ogega. I live in the United States. I'm in Indiana. I've been here for about 27 years now.
Hiya.
Yeah, mi ni mzee.
Mzee is relative. All right.
Yeah, so I'm a nurse by profession and also a businesswoman. I do run a couple businesses in Kenya.
Haya, karibu sana.
Oh, mimi ni Mkisi, mimi ni mama ya vijana watatu, grown boys. And I'm also a grandma to one beautiful little girl. She's 4 months old now.
Oh, amazing.
Thanks.
That's amazing. All right. Umesikia mambo chairman, Rama. Mpata wageni wapya. Masi.
Huyo moswati umetoka agirire.
Ndiande tata na kibono.
Ndiande. Pole Gerald, we have to switch.
Nimeona sasa hata sisi tuliongea Kifaransa naona maamua kuongea Kijerumani. Masi, you pick up from the comments.
Asante.
Masi, you pick up from the top from the comments on from Ram on COVID, and who is responsible? You guys, you're working, especially you'll also have to have a conversation with some contributor from Doro as well. Atuambie, she's a nurse, and when the government official who is supposed to be the CS comes out and tells you there's no bed capacity in the hospitals, and the governor comes out and tells you, by the way, we are waiting for the people who are inside to die so that you can get opportunity. How does this make you feel, Masi?
Unajua, I saw that tweet by Governor Mutua, I think, of Machakos. Akisema ni kubaya, and then someone had captioned and showed the governor's residence. Alafu akaonyesha, and then someone said, okay, you can be able to build this, but you cannot be able to build capacity. I think wako na 15 beds. Ya ICU. Yani niliangalia mpaka nikasema, I mean, where are the priorities? Kujenga governor's residence? Ama kuhakikisha kuwa hospitali iko na the necessary facilities, you know, but necessary, you know, whatever is needed there. So when I look at, you know, when I looked at that, nikasema, kweli, but it's everywhere. Ukiangalia hasa Kenya, you know, most of the counties wako na hiyo shida. The numbers now are increasing. Unfortunately, I don't know, sijui what's going to happen. The Russian vaccine, we hope it works. We hope the people will take the vaccine, because most of the people nimeongea now wanasema hawataki vaccine. Huko nyumbani ati sijui they don't trust it, sijui unajua vile nyumbani iko. You know, but I hope, you know, as time goes, we have to prioritize what is important. See ati, well, yeah, could build the roads na kila kitu ni sawa, but the health and well-being of the people is the most important thing. Usipokuwa na watu, hiyo mabuilding tunajenga, barabara, sijui nini, it doesn't help. So Arama touched on very sensitive areas that I think we need to have, you know, like if you compare here saizi, I was just in a meeting with some Kenyans on Saturday. You know, majority wanna work in the healthcare field. Watu walipata vaccine early February, walipata both, unajua wanapata both doses. Kama Moderna and Pfizer, they already got the vaccines. So out of clear story and ni, so these are the variants that imeanza ku affect, so that's what people are still worrying about, but wanasema kuwa bado inaweza saidia. I mean, Doro anaweza tusaidia in that aspect, jaribu kuexplainia mambo ya vaccines. So hii inakuja Kenya saizi, bei kwanza. Haya, nilikuwa naona ati kuna koti inajaribu kupasa ama kuvalidate ati matajiri wapate kujiletea vaccine yao. I mean, when we have such kind of situation, which I think, to be honest, some people have already gotten it. Yeah. Ya matajiri ilishakuja.
Ni wana, it's actually on the Taifa leo, chanjo ya masonko yafika.
Yeah, I think kuna watu tayari walishajifanyia, alafu not to criticize Uhuru and everything else, but kuna watu wanajaribu kusema mbona yeye hajaonekana akipata vaccine in public, which will create public trust.
Alisema mwezi ni lazimisha, alisema I'll do it when I want, not when you tell me to.
Ama alishapata. Unaona, you know, those are the things that kidogo kwa hiyo mambo ya leadership ya nyumbani, na as much as sangine na criticize yeye in a way hatutaki, but another criticize yeye kwa mambo zingine amfanya. Kama one thing, I was listening to the Kenyan news, nikaona ati watu walikuwa wanapea credit mambo ya speech ya Tanzania, which I was surprised because most of our leaders when they go outside the country wanaongea so well, unaona, but when it comes back home unashindwa, is this the same person? Unaona, kama watu wanapea credit mambo ya kunyamaza wakati ya hiyo maombi wanaita adhan, wakati wanaita mambo ya maombi, ama muadhini anaita maombi ya, you know, the Muslim prayers. I mean, which I think that was very respectful during the funeral. I think that one I'll give him the credit. But when it comes back home, unapata speech ile mtu anapeana nje, it's not the same as the speech they give back home. So coming back to the vaccines, so I hope the leadership and everything else will try and demonstrate that to create some sort of trust in the vaccine. How watu itakana pia waonyeshane in public kuwa wanapata vaccine and it works. So yeah, that's all.
All right, I'll go to Genevieve. Genevieve, you can hear me? Genevieve, are you there? Ama umetuacha? All right.
Genevieve alipotea.
Genevieve alipotea. Aya, wacha tuende kwa Doro. Doro, you being in the public, in the health sector, you'd want to get your comments on the same thing. And then also there's a woman who was dragged by Kanjo, Kisumu Kanjo, along the road, ambaye alikuwa mchuuzi. You are a woman and umesema kwamba unafanya biashara. I wish you to pick up the same thing. I mean, outlaw can can those who are entrusted to take care of the mwananchi go in terms of dealing with them?
We're talking about publicly, like the woman who was dragged on the streets?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that is really fair. Actually, the way the law in Kenya operates, hii mambo ya kupiga watu viboko and kudrag mama kama huyo, that is below human dignity, and it shouldn't happen that way because we are all adults. Those policemen that are enforcing the law and the people who are breaking the law, we are all adults. So things need to be cleaned up a little bit where there's no abuse in the process of enforcing the law. I don't know if that makes sense. Sasa kama huyo mama, hiyo ni mbaya sana kwa sababu that's a grown person who probably knows, yes, alikuwa amechelewa. There are other different ways kama hiyo mambo mumesema ya community service, ama ya just to do any other thing to as a consequence to what you did wrong. But hii kukua dragged ama kupigwa kwa barabara watu wazima, anybody, men, women, it's very demeaning, and that really needs to stop. That drags our country behind.
All right. On the issues of the vaccines, the APTA continues to be low. Nasikia pia kuna vaccine ya masonko inakuja. Serikali pia wafanyikazi wa serikali are also selling the vaccine to citizens. We're supposed to actually vaccinate them for free. You are in the healthcare sector. CS, an equal of a Minister of Health, comes out and tells us there are no beds in hospital. And the governor also comes out and tells us, Nikubaya, we are waiting for those in hospital to die so that you can get beds. How does that make you feel as a Kenyan who is working in the healthcare sector outside the country?
I'll actually address that based on what you're telling me. I haven't updated myself on the news today. I'm a little behind. But if that was actually said, it is really sad because we've literally had a whole year to prepare for this corona. I did an interview actually the same day today, last year. And Kenya, I think you only had 2 cases of corona, while the US, we were in the thousands. And at that time, it felt very safe for me to be in Kenya than even here.
And those guys who are joining in, please, when you join in, please mute. When you join in, mute. There's someone who just joined in, and I think they have their sound on. All right.
Yeah,
proceed,
I can.
Dodo.
Yeah, so it felt very safe for me to be in Kenya than to be here, because at that time, as healthcare workers, we were being asked to use one mask literally for a couple of days because we didn't have supplies. And I'm not afraid to say that. It is true. We didn't have enough supplies in the US. Kenya, you were in a better place. And between March of last year and March of this year, the government, and I'm sorry, I'm going to come out like I'm criticizing, but truly I'm criticizing anyway. You had a whole year to prepare, and not just for this pandemic, to prepare yourselves for the future, because Corona really did not hit Kenya that bad in the previous months. It started hitting us bad like this year. Saizi ndio imeanza kugonga vibaya. And I don't understand Governor Mutua, because I thought Governor Mutua also had extra beds made under the tent. Does that not exist anymore? I thought that existed. For you to say 15 beds, I don't understand that. I thought he was one of the governors that was very, very prepared for this pandemic.
Kama ilikuwa sinema basi.
Sasa sijui, mi najua alikuwa na ile tent kubwa, alikuwa ameka vitanda. We saw it. I'm not saying alikuwa anadanganya. I mean, we saw the actual setup. So did he relax and take that away? Or what happened between March of last year and now? That's one thing I would want to understand.
All right. That's good to hear from you. Now let's look at, I think we had lost Genevieve, but she is back. Genevieve, Jambo. Genevieve?
I don't think Genevieve is back, but Ombu is here. David Njuguna is here.
Inashindwa. Genevieve ananiambia anasikia lakini simuoni. Haya, wacha tu.
Oh, yeah, Yuko. She's there. I see her number now.
All right, Genevieve. Kama hapatikani. Haya, unasema kuna nani mwingine?
Kuna David Njuguna, alafu bwana Umbui pia.
Okay. Tuanze na nani? Tuanze na David. I think David had come in earlier, so maybe we start with David.
Yeah.
David, Jambo. David hapatikani pia. Tuende kwa Ombui.
Yes, habari Jera.
Salama sana boss, Jambo.
Mzuri sana, habari wenzangu. Nafurahia sana kwa kunipa wakati huu ili niweze kutoa maoni yangu. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Now I want to comment on the issues to do with COVID-19 because it's of a great concern, especially now when I hear the stories, what people are telling me. It is a very, very worrisome trend in Kenya. And I've heard people blaming the government, at some point or to some extent. Now I largely blame the citizens because we understand our problem. If kama unajua kwamba you can't afford kula nyama kila mwezi, kila siku, lazima try kula sukuma, So the problem with us Kenyans is that we understand our problem. Our government is failed in terms of healthcare. There is no need for us to keep on crucifying leaders who really don't understand what they're supposed to do. The problem is us Kenyans who knew the consequences of our actions. There's what we call optimism bias, where we feel we are invincible. We think like COVID-19 was meant for the Western world, not Africa. Now we are in a crisis. Now I hear friends, very close friends, wakiniambia kwamba relative wangu amekufa COVID-19, my friend is in critical condition, the way we never used to hear last year. So the problem ni sisi wa Kenya, wakati tuliona kwamba tumejaribu kucontain hii ugonjwa, tukarelax, tukaona ni kama kwamba hii ugonjwa is not meant for us, it was meant for probably the Western world. So tukaanza loosen the guidelines. I saw even politicians campaigning. Now we are in a crisis where the disease is pervasive in the community, and there's nothing much we can do because we don't have enough facilities. So ni kufa na kupona. Mungu ukipata, maybe Mungu akusaidie upone ama uponyoke. We know kwamba our government is very corrupt. It's a fact. Kemusa, we remember what happened last year. It will never change. When you look now, the Machakos governor, amejenga another state house, Machakos. Wakati, the health care is deplorable in the county. Even the people, the residents cannot afford hata kwenda kutibiwa malaria. When this governor should try to create a health care free kit ambayo inaweza kusaidia watu wakigonjeka wakipelekwa hospitali, they don't need to pay or they pay partially. You know? Na watu wakwe sensitized mambo ya NHIF, which again it has failed because the politicians who are making too much noise, they cannot even pass a bill in parliament to enforce or to try to to make NHIF cater for patients with COVID-19. Ati kwamba kama uko na COVID-19 and you are an NHIF customer, you cannot be uwesaidiwa malipo. So sisi wa Kenya tunajua shida zetu, but sisi wenyewe tunaendelea kujiongezea shida mingi. Serikali yetu, it has failed. Priorities are quite contrary. So the only thing that is remaining for us as Kenyans ni sisi wenyewe tufuate the healthcare guidelines, to avoid reckless movements, to wear masks, you know, na tujaribu vile tunaweza. Mtu ukisikia kwamba uko na symptoms, stay at home. Wacha kuzurura kupea watu wengine, because that is how we are not going to contain this disease.
All right. Asante sana. Kibichi bet sijui kama natusikia. Kibichi? Bet. Kama tuski. Wacha tuende kwa Ambassador Alfred Surgeon all the way from Australia. Perth, Australia. Good evening, or is it good morning, sir?
It is afternoon, Gerald. Thank you.
It's afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm driving back from work. I'm heading home for a bit of time, and then I'm going back to work. So I'll catch up, and then I'll come back and get to know what is happening.
Hi, tumemeza ugali ya lunch.
Bado naelekea.
All right. Okay, you keep tuning. Then when you're ready, you can put your hand up. Then I'll come back to you.
Okay.
All right, Arama, KQ, 6.2 billion in losses. It has tripled its losses from last year, and we're continuing to bail out. The other day, the government gave 28 billion bailout. I'm also seeing it's part of the trends today. I'm seeing KQ East is trending on Twitter. It's part of the trending that's running on Twitter. And you keep asking yourself, the other day there was a bill in Parliament introduced by the government through the majority leader, actually supposed to have KQ take over the profit-making KAA, and it's making losses. That's 6.2 billion. It's part of the trend today. I'm seeing KQ East is trending on Twitter at number one. What are your thoughts, Arama? Arama
alipotea.
Haya Masi. Haya wacha tukuja kwako basi Masi, alafu tuende kwa Adorio.
So, I mean, my thinking is, I think nyumbani huko, the running of KQ, someone has not been honest about the running of KQ. Someone told me a while back like someone might say, but I don't think it's, I'm not sure if it's accurate. KQ, there's some people who own the planes personally. Kuna watu that, so what they do, they try and influence planes iende mahali kuna profitable, ni kama vile unafanya, kama, what do you call it? Ilikuwa inaitwa Machakos Air Bus ama Air Station ya Nairobi. So mtu anajaribu kuchange, aseme hasa hii pengine ya kwenda Mozambique, inaunda pesa, ama ndio hii, So we still don't have like a business model like Ethiopia kidogo wanasema government nasaidia, but it's the same here. Or kama Qatar Airways. So I think that's where the problem is. And they haven't really settled on a proper business model to be able to make profit. That's what I think. So unaona saizi 36 billion. Najuzi ndio walianzisha ati trip ya kuja direct flights from Nairobi to JFK, New York. So why would you start, such a whatever when you don't have enough passengers to travel all the way, especially and then mambo ya COVID ikuje kafika, well, yeah, we can say, but why keep it? I mean, they need to have a proper business model. I think in a cost. Alafu the second thing is, why do we have to recycle the same jama wa naita nini? Jama ya what you call Safaricom?
MJ.
Yanapelekwa huko. Alafu akitoka huko siyapelekwa wapi? We have only like 2 or 3 people that are being recycled in Kenya. We need to have more. And I think there are more people who can be able, na watu ambao wako forceful to be able to, hey, these are the plans we have, this is the business model, this is what we want. But in Kenya, I think, mambo ya KQ kidogo, there's a story behind it. Yeah,
and I'm getting some really interesting revelations today because I was following up on the trend on Twitter, and it's actually quite interesting that even the chairman himself, Michael Joseph, who is earning 8.5 million from KQ, he flies British Airways to London. And the person who pays the bill is KQ. KQ pays another airline to fly its chairman. Harama, what are your thoughts on this, KQ? Yeah. Thanks.
Gerald, I'm sorry, my internet, looks like my provider was doing some system updates tonight, so they keep me out, but uzuri nile, I have other ways to connect.
You have kicked yourself back.
Gerald, one of the problems we have is...
Room 32.
Uh-oh.
Alarm.
Kuna mtu wako kazini.
Kuna mtu wako wera, I think ni Doro. That must be Doro.
Yeah. So we don't take pride with what we have, Gerald. We don't protect our national, so-called national pride. I can tell you is, I looked when the flights, I woke up the maiden flight from Nairobi to JFK. I woke up that morning and I watched the whole plane landing, and I was very, I was happy. I'm like, yeah, this is a good thing. But then when I went in, even calling Kenya Airways and trying to find out, hey guys, what are your pricing? First of all, you find somebody very rude. They don't give you, they don't even attend to you as a customer. And then when you look at their prices, why would I pay almost $2,000 to fly home when I can go through Europe and pay $1,000? It's not reasonable. So you have to, like Mercy was saying, you have to study the trends and come up with a business model that is going to work and get you a profit and make the airline can make money. But the problem is the planning and the business model they're using is bad. What they call the fuel hedging. You bet and say, hey, I'm going to prepay for fuel at this price because I think the price may go up. But 3 times now, the price of fuel for planes has gone down and KQ has lost a lot of money because of that. You think the first time, maybe you were not sure. The second time, you should have learned your lesson. Or at least put in some provision and say, if it falls below a certain percentage, then we should revert to the normal pricing. And then the same thing, if it goes up to a certain percentage, then we should revert to the normal pricing so that you cushion yourself either way. Si ati bei ya mafuta ni shilingi 10 na wewe ulipa 100 and you keep on paying 100 shillings for something that is 10 shillings. That's unreasonable. But like you said, also the people we put in place. Some of these people are put in place in these offices because they owe a favor to somebody else. It's not because of their competence. It's not because of their expertise. It's just because they owe somebody a favor. And then, hata ukiangalia, I am not sure, but I can say this with some level of confidence. If you go look at the expenditure of Kenya Airways, more money is spent on executive perks, taking care of the big people in the company, rather than investing on the air hostess, the pilots, or even making the company be run smoothly. So we are focusing the funds on the operations of the company, of the airline, in the wrong direction. So why would the CEO or the chairman of Kenya Airways fly on British Airways? Now, if flying British Airways is cheaper than flying Kenya Airways, then that will make sense. But
it's Kenya Airways who are paying even for his ticket. I mean, what does it mean?
Yeah. And then even if the price of the ticket is lower than the other, there is no way you'll find the CEO or the chairman of British Airways flying another airline if the airline they're in charge of is flying the same route. That will not happen. I don't care what even if it's expensive or cheap, even if the other airline is cheaper, they will still fly with their airline. That's common sense to everybody. Gerald, ni kama useme umeenda kwako,
alafu unapita kwako unaenda kulala kwa jirani.
Chakula hata si ya kulala, chakula imepikwa kwako, alafu unasema mimi naenda kukula sukuma kwa jirani huko, mimi chakula sitaki. Jamani, I mean, whether imewekwa mafuta ama chumvi ama whatever, it's your home.
Yeah.
That's where you eat.
All right.
Come on.
And we pay this guy 8.5 million every month to run down the company. But interesting.
Na hiyo ni salary, hujahesabu house allowance, sijui entertainment, sijui nini. Watu wanalipanga sitting allowance ya kukuja mikutano. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Doro, actually, the chairman's wife is paid 500,000 Kenya shillings just for being a wife.
Wow.
Anyway, your comments?
Wow.
You're saying you had some points to add on the previous conversation. There are better places to be wives, by the way.
Well, I wouldn't have had so much to say about the airline, but I just so happened to have listened to Michael Josephs a couple hours ago. He was complaining and blaming a lot on COVID-19, which is understood. But also, makosa moja yenye Michael Josephs anafanya is, let's assume when he was a Safaricom CEO. Can you imagine yeye ni mtu wa Safaricom alafu amevaa shati ya red ya Airtel? How would that look? That would not come out really pretty, So whatever anafanya, kama yeye ni mkubwa wa Kenya, our airline, alafu anapanda hizi ndege zingine, that is the same thing as being a Safaricom CEO and wearing an Airtel t-shirt. Just flaunting around town in
They
red.
know when not to.
Yeah, so that's exactly what he's doing. And another thing, when they brought the maiden flight here, direct flight from New York to Kenya, actually that was the best idea ever to come up with yenye hata walikuja nayo, wacha niwaambie. But they did it in a very, very bad way. Kwa sababu, when you come up with something like that, of course you have to gas the flight, kuweka mafuta kwa hiyo ndege kila siku. You have to have competitive prices. Angalia airlines zote zenye zinaenda Kenya kwa hiyo wiki. Pesa ni ngapi? Make sure your price is below that. And this is something that I don't know, sijui advisors wake wako wapi, waezi mwambia kitu kama hii. Enda angalia, ukiona hii ndege ya wa Arabu inaitwaje, hii ya Dubai. Ukiona wanalipa $790 to fly round trip on the non-peak seasons from the US, go out there and charge your people $650. Charge all the Kenyans $650 kwa hiyo flight, such that people have a reason to want to buy this flight. So you'd rather fill your flight every way, to and fro, back and forth, with those competitive prices, kuliko flying that plane empty like they do. kwa sababu yani wanacheza tu kwa hewa with seats not filled, and people are booking Emirates, people are booking Qatar, people are booking all the other competitive. Ukipatia wa Kenya kitu yenye ina wa benefit, waambie this is an incentive you have for being Kenyan. Hii flight yenye tumewaletea, this is the price. You're competing with everybody in the market. I'm telling you, KU ita survive, Kenya Airways ita survive kwa hiyo nini, kwa hiyo section, hiyo part ya ndege ya US. Saizi wana lose pesa sana. Another point I wanted to do is steady price. So the more you'd rather have more customers at a cheaper rate than 10 customers at the expensive rate, and you're flying with empty seats.
Yeah.
You'll make more money that way. And of course, I've addressed competing with other airlines, and then cut off the perks. I mean, these people wenye wanafanya Kenya Airways, hata wale wenye wana vitu kubwa kama MJ, hizo perks wako nazo ni mingi sana. How can we have COVID, we're suffering from a pandemic, and the perks still remain to be the same for these employees? That does not make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So I will stop talking about what does not concern me a lot, because mimi sijui mambo mingi ya ndege. That is just my layman part. But I have one point I wanted to add on back to COVID. Whenever you can allow me, I will address that.
You can, please, you can add. I mean, you can have the conversation.
Okay.
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, so this is the part where I know what I'm talking about. Nimeangalia a lot of people who have posted selfies or pictures, wakubwa ama just regular mwananchi in Kenya wakidungwa sindano. I don't, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to post those pictures, but
and also, while Doro, you should tell us the relation between the vaccine working and removing your shirt.
Hold on. Yeah, that removing the shirt, Mazio. If you're going to remove your shirt to take pictures, first of all, wear a vest. Sorry. But that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, these nurses, I don't understand. Why are nurses having skin-to-skin contact with patient? That is very dangerous.
Wow.
And very soon, and I'm saying this, I hope someone can hear it somewhere, such that when our president decides to sit down and kudungwa sindano, I don't want to see a nurse touching him with her bare hands, akimdunga sindano, because that is so wrong. I have a relative who actually is a doctor. Na alipost picha yake kwa group message yetu. Pali anadungwa. And of course I screamed, like, why is that nurse touching you with her bare hands? Akasema, hakuna shida, this unless I have punctured skin, but this nurse is puncturing your skin without your sindano. Na kikupanguza na hiyo pamba, that means germs zilikuwa kwa vidole yake ameziingiza kwa hiyo punctured skin yako. Then you'll have other issues. So nurses should wear gloves in Kenya. Kenya, you can't tell me you can't afford gloves. No. That is just, it really kills me. And nasi ati hakuna hata moja mwenye nimeona amevaa gloves, and it's really frustrating.
Wow. Hapo wamesikia na wataacha pia kutoa mashati. Wakumbusha waache kutoa like nonetheless kama vaccine hizi fanya.
Mashati wanaweza toa, lakini vaa vest ama kama uko na six pack maybe.
Na wamama sasa watafanyaje kama lazima watu watoe mashati?
Wamama tunajipanga. Wamama unajua tunakwanga tumejipanga. Unajua leo unadungwa sindano, utavaa short sleeve. Poleni wa baba, lakini I'm not saying this in a bad way. The main part here I'm attacking is that healthcare aspect of skin-to-skin contact, especially during this season of corona, ni mbaya sana. Kwa sababu hujui nimebeba virusi gani kwa vidole zangu. Alafu kitu ingine ya mwisho, mimi sijadungwa sindano. I'm a healthcare worker, but sijadungwa.
Why?
And I'll give an answer. Because nikidungwa, I'm taking away from another person. Mimi, I was infected with corona. Nilishikwa na COVID, so I have my antibodies for a few months. So I'd rather give that chance to somebody else, adungwe, saa zile tutakuwa na masurplus, mimi nitadungwa. And for the people who have had corona, and they are younger people, okay, or younger people that awako kwa ile inaitwa red flag, wachia wale wengine wapate sindano kwanza. So for me, the answer I give people, the reason I've not been vaccinated is one more person benefits that maybe hangepata hiyo nafasi. Mimi niko na antibodies, and of course very soon they'll be withering off, but nitadungwa very soon. Lakini hiyo sindano, take it and protect yourself. It is, I cannot give you a personal example, mimi sijadungwa, but it is ni kitu ya kujikinga nayo, ni kingo. Anything that is kingo inakuwa introduced kwa mwili will have a side effect. Hata Panadol iko na side effect. So that's what I would have.
So let me also ask you, Doro. You mentioned that you are not taking the vaccine because you already developed antibody. Does it mean that if you've been infected before, you cannot get the virus again?
No, you're protected for a few. I want to say you'll be comfortable for a few months because you have the antibodies. But again, I don't want to mislead the public and wakwe comfortable na your idea. Yes, you'll be protected. I can say maybe a few weeks to a few months, but that again is up to the doctor to
decide.
It's for you to go and have your blood work done and they see whether you still have the antibodies. For me, up until 2 weeks ago, my antibodies are still active, so I am okay for now. But hiyo COVID ni kitu mbaya. Woi. Mimi ilifanya hata nikaanza kufikiria how to talk to my kids on who to call when it comes to nikikufa wataenda wapate shilingi zangu 2 wapi. It was that bad.
Sijui kama kuna wengine wetu wameshikwa na COVID. Naona pia nani amerudi, Sergeant amerudi, Ambassador Sergeant. I don't know if you have any comments on KQ before we roll the conversation. 36.2 billion going with the wind.
It's crazy. I would say, Gerald, even here, Qantas in Australia, we made a loss of about 2 billion. It happened because of Corona. That one we give them. But at what point in time has KQ made profit anyway? You know, when? Since I was born, it's been making losses. So this was just but an exaggerated figures. If you go as by what, if you go to the books, I would say, and this is my opinion, I would say it might not be the case. It is because of the poor leadership that we've been employing each day. As the previous person said, it's not about merit. It is about who you know that you get to be there. You just mentioned that someone who is the CEO. If you can imagine, I am working for Lanson and selling an idea or giving out some ideas about another company. It is so bad. It is not the best way, not even portraying anything. And I would say this, the person following this, I would say this, Michael Joseph did well when he was in Safaricom, but we call for his resignation today because it seems not to be following out and the best practice for a company as a CEO. That one, we need to sit up and come up as Kenyans and say, look, when things are bad, hii maneno ya kusema mtu wetu ama nini, or we go back to what someone has done before, it is not paying us off. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to us. If your brother or sister was working with KQ, now they've been retrenched, and most of them don't get paid. Actually, the most money that went to the Qantas here in Australia was because of redundancies. They paid off all their workers in lump sum. So if someone is being retrenched from KQ and they are not getting paid, then it is unfortunate. And it comes back to us, Gerald, and we need to call this as Kenyans. We need to come up, tusikuwe tunapiga tu makofi kwa watu na tunaanza kusema nini. I'm getting into a tunnel, so nini itapotea, my network itapotea.
Haya, sasa zile unamaliza tunnel.
Gerald, let me say something very quick.
I'll get back.
Okay, Rama.
Yeah, people say Michael Joseph did very good work at Safaricom. They are forgetting one thing. Safaricom was a monopoly. There was no competitor for cell phone services then.
But so there is a competitor today. Well. I think the comparison would be, why is it that these guys perform well in private sector, but when it comes to public service, the companies that they manage fail? I mean.
Yeah. To me, is we don't hold people accountable. We really don't hold people accountable. Why are you paid all this money? It should be pegged to performance. Yeah. If you're not performing, you don't get paid. If you perform, you get paid. It's simple as that.
So you actually pay this guy 8.5 million to make losses. You pay the wife a wifely allowance of 500,000 every month. I mean, it's an interesting place. Anyway, I'm not saying we have Nicholas Rono.
One thing.
Oh, you have something to add, Mercy, all right?
Yeah. So one thing I think with Kenya Airways, vile nilisema, they call it Nikama public, but I think there's some individuals who own the planes. Nikama hata supplier mafuta. If some people can think, there's some people who are very big politicians who are the ones supplying the mafuta ya nini, ya Kenya Airways. Not Kenya Airways, I mean for the other planes. So there's undue influence from outside that are trying to see the management inafanya kazi vile nitakana kufanya. So some people wanasema, ni kama vile nakwambia, I use the example of matatu. There's some people who try and dictate, hey, wacha plane yangu iende hapa because maybe they own loans and everything else, so they want to be able to make more money. So Kenya Airways is not really an independent like corporate entity. It is not. So these problems will still continue. Ilianza before, tunaweza blame COVID. Look at the prices. Arama amesema price ya ticket ni kama almost $2,000. But me flying to Kenya saizi nikitumia other, kama nikitoka hapa nichukue Qatar ama nichukue other airlines, nachukua me $800 to get home. Ama 900. But nini ko expensive. So do you want me to spend $2,000 because I love Kenya Airways? Just for a direct flight, or am I going to sacrifice 16 hours to get home? Then nimelipa $800, $900. So that's the thing. It is not really ni kama vile matatu ya Kenya inawekwa kwa stage, mtu mwenye ako na influence ana line mabasi zake. That's how it is. So something needs to change.
All right. Rono, Nicholas Rono.
Namaliza tunnel, Gerald, can I finish off?
Please, finish.
Yeah, so like I was saying, and like someone said, who owns Safaricom? We need to know who owns Safaricom. You know, watu wenye tunaumia ni wale watu tulinunua hii shares tudogo. But the people who owns KQ are those people wenye wanakula na wanakuja kutuambia sijui tulipoteza some certain money. Hiyo vitu inafaa ifanyia investigation, and if not, like George said, corona ikishika baba, Kenya itadisbandiwa. Same with KQ. It should be disbanded. Kama is not making profit, it is actually inflicting a lot of pain to the country in the name of the pride of Africa, and we are not feeling it. To be sincere, since time immemorial, we haven't felt the pride of KQ. And if it is not making any good to the people of Kenya and to those who have shares, then it should be disbanded. Tujue ile kitu ina operate Kenya haitusaidii, ndio tukue we learn. But the best thing is Michael Joseph to step down. We go to the drawing board, we set up a good system, then we get back to reality. Asante.
Okay, asante sana. Sama disband KQ, fire Michael Joseph, Marco Yusufu. Haya, naona kuna jamaa anaitwa, there's someone who joined in, naona ampotea pia, alikuwa amejoin na Gmail account. Naona yamepotea. Naona Nicholas Rono, sijui kama unasikiza. Nicholas Rono, anasikia. Steve David, can you have any comments from you? Steve David, do you have any comments to make?
I have comments to make.
Please, proceed.
Okay, I will touch on monopoly. I think the big past, present, and even future governments in Kenya will continue to experience the same problem with KU. What state corporations in Kenya haven't managed to handle is competition. I can give you an example of KenGen. KenGen is the only state corporation that is making profit. Just this year or this quarter, it announced a profit of almost 9 billion Kenyan shillings. This is because KenGen has diversified its activities and is even producing energy in Eritrea and in Ethiopia. You see, there is that acumen. And if you see the kind of people they are employing there, the CEO and the board, these are professionals. But if you look at KQ has not managed to handle competition. And that is where state corporations fail in Kenya. Once competition enters, almost all of them collapse. Look at KPLC. people have started, other competitors have started to produce energy on like wind and solar. Now they can't. The KPLC is, it's really struggling because they are relying on generating energy from dams. You see, so for me, I think KQ, it's competition and that expertise. They need to hire better people.
All right. Any other person who still has any comments on that? Songa haya ni kama kila mtu amemaliza mambo ya KQ. Haya.
Gerard, I've not commented on
KQ. Ombui, pole.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Gerard. What I can say about KQ is that, and which most of the commentators have not said, is that there is a huge corruption in KQ. I can give you an example of a friend who used to work there. He told me that, there was a depot for supplying soda to KQ just across Mombasa Road. So instead of these sodas, the KQ, contracting the other company, Coca-Cola Direct, there was a broker seated on Mombasa Road. And it was making millions of Kenyan shillings a year. Just for just standing in the middle of between KQ and the depot just on the other side of the road. So the problem that KQ is facing majorly is corruption. Where you imagine, Gerard, kuna mama pale anauza mboga huko Marikiti. Ameuza mboga, anaeducate watoto wake, anafanya other projects, na ako pale ameuza pale over 20 years. Ajaenda bankruptcy atiende nyumbani. KQ iko na watu wamesoma wanafanya kazi pale. Very educated people. Always ukisimama pale karibu Mombasa Road pale, you will see how the KQ planes are coming in, going out every minute. So hii pesa inaenda wapi? To me, it's not even about the business model. The problem with KQ is that there are so many hands eating from there for free, extravagantly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm being also told Rono is available now. Rono, please. Rono, we can have your comments. Nicholas Rono. Please unmute yourself, Nicholas. Unmute your microphone. Naona sura lakini.
Okay, I hope tunanisikiza wote, niko kazi.
Bas. Haya.
Asante sana. Me, KQ, I don't know what to say. Personally, I've had a rough traveling with KQ. I slept in France twice, and they had an emergency going home. So I think KQ, they're never serious with business completely. That airline is as good as dead. Number one, they sold their landing place in London. I remember they sold what the Queen had given them, a place to park. And the government, in between, they sold that parking spot. That shows you how corruption is really deep-rooted in KQ. At the same time, when you're doing business and you give an airline like KLM a certain percentage, like 25%, it means you're selling all your rights to them because you're not the majority. You're not the airline who is controlling your own. Like being in a, it's like in business when you are shareholding with somebody and you give them 25% of your business. What does that tell you? It means wewe umeshindwa kufanya kazi yako. On a serious note, and precisely like KQ should just overhaul and go back to serious business. Waache ufisadi na warudi kwa biashara wafanye kazi vizuri. That's the only problem I can say. KQ is as good as dead. As much as wananua mandege ni madeni ni mingi. The same way the government of Kenya is still corrupt. Yeah. So that's the only thing I can say at the moment.
It's dead as a dodo. Haya, mambo ya COVID?
Oh. COVID. Sorry, sikuwa nimesikia. Mlikuwa na swali gani?
Kama pia naona uko healthcare.
Yeah, of course.
All right. You're also talking about the COVID. The government is coming out to tell us there are no beds, there are no capacity, there's no bed capacity. The disease is continuing to ravage.
That's how Kenyans has never been serious. All the way from government, all the way to everywhere, they have never been serious with issues that affects their people's life. Number one, saizi wanasema there are no bed capacity. Money has been going down to build hospitals, to expand healthcare facilities in counties and the villages. But the problem is with the government is corruption. Corruption all through. Corruption from top all the way to the counties. In fact, they devolved corruption. They not devolved the government. The only thing they devolved was corruption. They devolved corruption from the national government to counties all the way. So governors, I come from Trans Nzoia. And you have a referral hospital imejengwa, imekaa kama sanamu. Ukiwa mamilioni imeenda ni over 700 million, nauliza ni nini ilikuwa inafanyika. Corruption all the way. Kuna walikuwa wanajenga parking. Inaitwaje? Nasahau mahali magari zinapangia.
Stage.
In transit. Stage. Stage haijaisha mpaka saizi imefunguliwa because of the pressure, because ilibidi wabomoe mahali watu walikuwa wanapaka. Kulikuwa na shamba ya railway, you saw it in the news. People had taken the railway land, walikuwa wanatumia kama mahali ya kupangisha magari. But since railway took their land back, they had to go back to stage, na stage iko imeisha. Ukisikia pesa imetumiwa ni over 200-300 million. Where did that money go? Corruption has been devolved from the national government, as much as they're still corrupt to the county's government. So you have never changed anything. So corruption imekuja chini. The only way you have to treat anything in Kenya is to eliminate corruption. That is point number one. Getting rid of corrupt leaders, having a government that works, having a judiciary that works, and penalize really the big corrupt people. That's where the problem is. The judiciary, majaji wenyewe ni corrupt. Leaders wenyewe huko juu top, they are corrupt. Utastaki nani? Na wanyonge ni wanaumia, ndio sio wezi ndio wanafungwa. Hayo tu, asanteni kwa sasa. So within about COVID, Kenya COVID in a blow up because number one, people never took serious measures of putting on masks at their home. Unajua kama inatoka Trans Nzoia, ulikuwa naongea na mtu nyumbani anakuambia huko hata tujui naenda tu town na kurudi. Unajua there are farmers at home, they never took serious measures. Initially when the Minister for Health aliingilia hii maneno Mutahi Kagwe, he did a good job, and that's why Kenya walikuwa first place walikuwa na follow up. All of a sudden when things came up, waka easen up and they opened up everything. People wakarudi maisha ya kawaida, went about everything. So now when the third wave now has come up, is eating them up because they never took serious steps and how to mitigate it. Now vaccinations inakuja, inapatiwa watu fulani, wengine hawapati. That's the problem again. So kuna watu selective. Kenya ni ile kuna watu na kuna wengine. Ni kama kuna wale wanyama wazuri.
Shamba la wanyama.
Exactly. So kuna wanyama wale wazuri kuliko wale wengine wadogo. Instead of treating everybody equal, like in America, they are vaccinating everybody. They only started with the frontline workers. Kama sisi tulipata injection yetu January. First time we got both of them. And that is because the nature of our job we are doing. So tukaanziwa sisi, alafu ika follow up. Everybody is now being vaccinated at the moment. Lakini Kenya nafika tunadunga watu wenye hata wajua hospitali inafanana. Unaacha workers, nurses who are supposed to get the vaccination first. Mnaanza kudunga hatiba kubwa wa serikali, sijui nani hata wajua hospitali inafanana namna gani. Ndio ndio wachungi hata mapesha wako na corona. It's unfair. And it's unethical too. On the side of Kenyan government. They should just change and do the right. We are all human beings. It doesn't matter who you are. And the people, the frontline workers like wafanyakazi ndio angaanziwa kwanza. Nurses, madaktari, the people who handle COVID patients directly. Hao ndio angaanza kudungwa kwanza. Ndio aende kwa wengine. Asante.
Okay. Asante. Naona kuna jamaa ameingia hapa na from Kibichi. Tafadhali ulikuwa you needed to have meet up anyway. Karibu sana Kibichi. Kibichi? Kibichi? Ano umeingia na kazungumza ukapata. Kibichi, uko wapi? All right. I can see you're not there. All right, guys. I would want to just as you're also preparing to get any more feedback from you guys, I would want to read to you some recommendations from KEPSA that I'm seeing here. Kuna recommendations from KEPSA that I've seen. Wana iko hapa. Then I'm going to get some recommendation from KEPSA so that you guys can tell me if it makes sense. One of the recommendations is actually lockdown. But anyway. Okay, so this recommendation from KEPSA, one is vaccination and testing, a clear massive vaccine rollout plan which stipulates number of people to be vaccinated by when and fall back. The next priority group should be uptake in the previous one below. Again, the price cap on PCR test, a blanket indemnity to be issued by government to enable private sector bring more vaccines in the country. Encourage public and private and religious leaders to take COVID vaccine and create more awareness. This move will increase public confidence and increase vaccine uptake. Private sector leaders above 50 years are ready to get vaccinated publicly in order to create more awareness on vaccination. Number 6, another recommendation that private sector, human resource for health, HRH, involvement in vaccine uptake. Private sector, HRH, involved in the rapid response initiative of third wave eradication. Second, curfew and lockdown. Restrict all inter-county travel for the most affected counties, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kiambu, Nakuru, and Kajiado, for the next 2 weeks, except essential services. County-wide curfew to start from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. for the next 3 weeks. Companies operating at night shifts to be given exception. Restaurants and nightclubs to close earlier if curfew starts at 8 p.m. for the next 3 weeks. Slowing down community spread. Restrict all social gatherings, including homes, for the next 3 weeks. The social gathering includes ceremonies to mark Eid and Easter celebrations, weddings, etc. Limit number of people attending funerals to below 15 for the next 3 weeks. Reduction in number of people attending the physical meetings in offices, etc. for the next 3 weeks. Policing all borders to minimize cross-border spread for the next 3 weeks. Compliance and enforcement, that is recommendation number 4. Compliance and enforcement of infection prevention and control, that is IPC protocols. KEPSA revived the partnership with Inspector General on the call number 1196 for reporting on those not adhering to rules. Adopt technology is used private sector up to promote awareness of IPC protocols and general information. Anyway, guys, that is part of the health. That 5 recommendation is health. The 5th recommendation is health facilities capacity. Increase number of ventilators, build hospitals, etc. to boost capacity of health facilities, which is still same as it was at the beginning. NHIF to expedite accreditation and contracting capitation, pre-authorization and claims turnaround process. This will create capacity at primary health facilities to provide other medical services and continuity of care as we manage COVID-19 cases in designated treatment and isolation centers. Faith-based rural hospitals are most affected by NHIF delays. All right. That is part of the recommendations from KEPSA. I don't know if you have any comments to make on that, Arama. Do you think a lockdown right now will fix COVID-19?
Gerald, in theory and practical ways, yes, but the problem is the consequences of that lockdown. Mm-hmm. One, you're opening up to corruption. Mm-hmm. Remember, even with the previous lockdown, and it was, people were being interviewed and recorded. Mm-hmm. The border guys and some of the vehicles had agreement with the police. Mm-hmm. Unafika hapa kwa roadblock, kuna mtu ni kama relay, unafika kwa roadblock, unashuka, una cross roadblock, unaenda, kuna mwingine anakungoja huko alafu anakupeleka, and they give whatever they give to the police, then they are not asked questions. Mm-hmm. Wewe ukikuja mwenye ujulikani, you get arrested, you are abandoned in, na mtu anakuambia hey, is either utoe 5,000 sahi ama tukupeleke uwe quarantine for 14 days and you are paying for yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, you incur a cost of 40,000-50,000 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's an effective plan that if implemented and all the other issues taken care of, then yes, it will work. But if you're just going to do it and then leave open to the police to interpret who is flouting the curfew or not, then we'll end up at the same place. There's no need. Yeah.
But about lockdown, Arama, the disease is all over. It's in every county.
Yeah.
So who do you lock? Who do you not lock?
The lockdown at this time, actually at this time, yes, the lockdown. That's why I said in theory it will work, but the problem is you need to do more than just a lockdown. Yeah. Please, provide the masking, provide testing. Especially testing is very important. For you to know how widespread this virus is at the moment, you need to do a better job, aggressive testing. So that you know, and especially anybody who is going to the hospital at this time, Gerald. Number one, just like ukienda, I am assuming that's what they do. If here, when I go even a doctor's visit, when I check my blood pressure, when I angalia my pulse, temperature, and all that, Those are basic things. Kenya saizi mahali imefika, COVID test should be anybody going to the hospital. You should be tested. It should be automatic. But the problem is we don't have those facilities. We don't have the processes in place. You don't have testing capabilities. So it's all this lockdown is just for nothing. We will still be the same place. Shida tu ni ile, maybe you localize the problems to one area and then watu wanakufa njaa, because at the same time the government cannot provide basic services to the people. You cannot provide ways to give people food. So people have to go and hustle and get something to eat. Wengine wanategemea daily. There are people who depend on daily work to feed their families. How are you going to take care of them? Yeah.
Okay.
And just 2 notes before I forget. Time is running. One note. I just saw a tweet that the governor of Kisumu has suspended the guys who are dragging the lady.
15 guys.
Suspended pending investigation. And then the other thing, which is good news, but in a sarcastic way, the SRC said that the car grants to the MCAs are the essential services. So I'm expecting to see car grants for nurses and teachers and doctors, because they're also saying very essential services. So they should be getting car grants also. Because if you're giving to MCAs who just go and sit and yell to each other and vote and get money, why not give it to the people who are actually providing services to the Kenyans? That's it.
Okay. I'll go to, I don't know, Mercy and then Ombui. I don't know if Ombui is still there. Mercy, alafu Ombui kama yupo, alafu Doro, alafu Ambassador.
Anyways, I know we've talked about, tumeongea mambo mingi. Unajua nilikuwa nafikiria leo hii mambo ya car grants. Why do the car grants have to be personal to the MCAs? Mbona isifanye in such a way that inakuja kwa, the jurisdiction in they're supposed to represent, so that in case, assuming mtu apate hiyo car grant alafu akufe in 8 months. So does that mean that the new MCA atapata another car? Si ifanye ikuwe inakuja kwa mahali ana represent the ward. No, so ikuwe ni kama, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, ni kama mtu unapewa, but ukienda, mtu mwingine anaweza chukua, ni kama ya kazi for that ward. No. So I think, but anyways, talking about COVID, hapa America hata pia they're still adjusting. Kenya pia, I would love to see, I wish vaccines ipewa kila mtu, but we'll see. Your baby, and I think it's too high. What other topic were we talking about? Your mambo ya Sputnik, the vaccine. I remember listening to the radio here a few months ago. Kuna mtu alikuwa anasema, America hapa walikuwa surprised wakati hiyo vaccine. Unajua kuna ile digital print ya vaccines. So Pfizer ilikuwa na yao, Moderna ilikuwa na yao, AstraZeneca ilikuwa na yao. Mtu akasema, how come Russia imekuja na the exact same digital print? I think ilikuwa ya Pfizer. So I think kulikuwa na my espionage na kila kitu, but that's life. So, but I hope Wakenya wote, whoever is listening, I hope the government will be able to help watu wapate vaccines, lakini very expensive. Tutaona vile itakuwa. What else?
Recommendation by KEPSA, is it recommending lockdown as one of the strategies to fighting COVID-19? Do you think having a lockdown now would fix COVID-19? It's everywhere. It's all over.
No. Yeah, to me, honestly, I think so. Because hapa America, kama wangefuata ile mambo vile Trump alikuwa anataka kufanya, maybe 1 million or 2 million people would have been dead, to be honest. But kwa sababu other states watu wakakuwa serious, wakasema mambo ya mask. Kwa vile Trump hata kwa mambo ya mask, kwa mambo ya restriction na kila kitu. So I think they need to. Tanzania bado wanacheza mchezo yao na kila kitu, but
so wana lock nani, because every county has COVID cases. So who are you locking and who are you leaving out?
No, I think there should be restriction in terms of the businesses that are open. I know, hata mimi nyumbani niko na business zangu, but ikiwa affected ni sawa. But they need to lock down. Because after that, watu wakikufa, then who will be there for the businesses? No. Lakini it has to be humane, it has to be reasonable, it has to be, I know some people might disagree with me, but lazima watu, pia watu wetu saa zingine nitakana waambiwe, use common sense. Hii ugonjwa iko. America hapo watu wamekufa. I have friends who have told me, mtu anaenda kazi, unaona mtu anatembea 2 days, 3 days later mtu anakuja, umekuwa na weekend off, ukirudi huyo mtu ameenda. So we need to be serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doro,
Yes.
alafu Ambassador, alafu Nicholas Rono. Doro.
Yes.
Masikiza recommendations za KEPSA.
Yeah, nimesikia.
Do you think it would make sense to have a lockdown now? And who are we locking down? They have also talked about liberalizing the importation of vaccines. As a medical practitioner, do you think there are any dangers in that?
Dangers in what? In importation of vaccine?
Liberalizing importation of vaccine. So every other businessman can import it.
I think with that I have an issue. There is some danger because kuna mtu alinitumia message jana, and it was a picture with capsules that are being circulated in Kenya, and if you open the capsule you find a kamsimari inside. There's nothing other than, so there are dangers because someone else in the private sector who is not controlled can bring in something in the name of a vaccine that's not. It could be something yenye nafanya watu wakue ina sterilize watu ama inaharibu watu vichwa ama it's targeting a certain population. So I really don't think liberalizing is the way, but private sector can step in a very controlled way. I don't know whether that makes sense. And just because it's Kenya, and if we're going to import these we are going to import it from Western countries, hatujui itakuwa imepitia nini hapo katikati ama ni nini tunapatiwa. Alafu of course watu wetu tuko na ile tabia ya what is corruption hiyo inatu blind. Atufikiri vitu like when corruption kicks in our blood, in our systems, we're not thinking of what is good and not good for the person that you're administering this to. So hapo naona kuna shida kidogo. And then mambo ya lockdown, lockdown ilisaidia Kenya, especially ile lockdown ya kwanza ile ilikuanga 7 p.m. ama 5 p.m. sikumbuki, maybe 7 p.m. Ilisaidia watu, but sasa vitu ziliharibika. Our leaders ndio walileta shida. Our leaders ndio walifanya Wakenya wakarelax, because how can you still, bado mko na lockdown hizi za sio lockdown anyway, mko na curfew. How can we have a curfew na mnatuambia we space it, tukue na hii inaitwa like we space each other, we say, social distancing. How can you tell us to do that? And then unapata Rao yuko huko na crowd yake, watu wanamwangalia, yani wanamsikiza, wameshikana wengi, hakuna masks. Unapata Ruto huku akifanya zake, unapata UK huku. You know, our leaders actually let us down. I'm sorry to say this, but hao ndio walifanya vitu zikaenda out of control. Kenya was actually on the path of controlling this thing. Hao sasa ndio waliharibu, Wakenya wakarelax, wakasema saka nyinyi mnafanya hivi. So what? Wacha hata sisi tujiachilie. And so that's where they really let us down. And historia lockdown saizi sijui itasaidia aje, but it has to start from the top. The top need to know. Watoke campaign kabisa. We don't want to hear anything about campaigning until this thing is controlled. And then people will follow examples. Like seriously, if Uhuru goes on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, ameketi chini akidungwa kasindano kake hapo, I'm telling you, Kenyans will get up and follow suit. Watenda wadungwe sindano. That's what our presidents did here. And life is going on. He is the leader. He carries a bigger chunk of responsibility. That's where I am.
Yes. Asante sana Alfred, Ambassador, alafu tuende kwa Rono, Nicholas Rono, alafu David mwisho.
Yes, thank you so much, Gerald. On the issue of corona, first of all is that I would give you an approach that Australia used on matters rolling out the vaccine. So they had phases whereby they were giving priority to the quarantine people, the border officers, health workers, and those people who work as frontline workers. The second phase came in where they gave the aged, the people with disabilities, people who work in nursing homes, and even cleaners, because these are the people who, a cleaner is an essential worker because they have to be there for all these other things to happen. And then the rest would be, every person that comes after that. Secondly is that it has been strictly done. The Prime Minister was the second person to take after a war veteran, a lady who was in the World War, and then the Prime Minister was second. And once the Prime Minister took it, everyone was a bit skeptic prior to the rollout. But once the Prime Minister took it, everyone has the, what do we call the hiyo nguvu ya kwenda kupewa hiyo dawa. Secondly, Gerald, we shouldn't even be discussing on issues about who should take where. It should have been done already. Unafaa kujua kwamba EU saizi wameanza kublock hizo dawa. They are threatening to block them. They are from Europe. Na wengi wanasema watu wetu hawajapata. We want to make sure that many of our citizens wamepata, ndio tuachilie sasa zile zimebaki siende. Currently, Australia is putting up a system whereby they are starting to produce their own. Because EU wametukazia, they blocked more than a ton of the vaccines that were coming to Australia. So they blocked yenye ilikuwa inaenda Italy. So tukienda kulialia huko Kenya na hatujapata kwanza the vaccine ourselves, hatuna namna. Umesema hospitali hakuna, tutakufa. Hiyo inafaa tujue tutakufa. Secondly, maneno yenye umesema ya on matters lockdown pays off. Can I ask you a very simple question, Gerald?
Yes.
Saa hizi China, Wuhan, umesikia story yoyote na Wuhan maisha inaendelea? Walifanya nini ndio wakapiga penye wako? Ni lockdown ilisaidia ama walikuwa na drug before ama ni nini ilifanyika?
Sasa unajua mambo haijatoka huko China walifanya nini exactly eleweki. But yes, I agree lockdown helps. But you see, now the community spread in Kenya is way beyond. I mean, who do you lock down? Because if you lock down Nairobi, that is already in Eldoret, in Malaba, it's in Kisii, it's all over.
Okay, this way. Recently, I tell you this, sometimes we go live here and some people ask, well, wapi mask? Sisi tulivaa mask 2 weeks in Western Australia, only 2 weeks. Because what happened is, the leader wa Western Australia alifunga hata uwezi enda Sydney. If you are in Western Australia state, you are not able to travel abroad, you are not able to travel to Sydney, you are not able to travel across. Secondly, you are not even able to travel within some regions in Western Australia. Like, huwezi enda, kama ingekuwa nyumbani, huwezi enda Western Kenya, ama huwezi enda Nandi from Uasin Gishu, huwezi enda Kitale from Nandi. So those things do help a lot. Ukisema sasa Gerald tusifunge, what will happen? So tungoja sasa ipate kila mtu ikuwe tu homa ya kawaida, turudi tuendelee, or what will be the next phase? The president needs to be so strict on this. The people who are mandated on security should be very, very strict on this. Niliona juzi hapa Australia ukipatikana umebreak the rules, unawekwa ndani na unapigwa fine ile hata wewe mwenyewe huwezi lipa. Imagine fine ya $50,000, utapata wapi?
No.
Secondly is that niliona walisema juzi hiyo speech ya president recently alisema kwamba when he was addressing the nation that we are cutting numbers ya funerals, we are cutting numbers ya harusi, but all the weddings that I've seen, all the funeral I've seen, people still attend in thousands. Simply because us, sisi wananchi kwanza, as citizens, we don't follow. And it comes back to us. We need to be cautious. We need to be, to follow. Umeona watu wengi wamekufa. Mtu anakufa anasema hakuna ICU bed, hakuna the ventilators. So it has to be within us as well. Tusingoja tu serikali ikuje inasema tufanye hivi, but we are not following what are just the mere small things that we ought to follow because tunangoja serikali fix. Serikali haiwezi kukufix on your health, ile vitu yenye wewe mwenyewe unaweza jizuia kufanya. Lastly, Gerald, is that we also need to realize that this thing is serious. Na watu waache kusema hii maneno ya sijui third wave. There is no third wave in Africa. Hii kitu imekuwa tangu, ni ile tu sasa imeanza kuhit. Msisikie tu America wamesema kuna third wave, tunafuata tu tunasema third wave iko. This thing is there. There are strains. Like this morning kuna nyingine inaitwa Indian strain imeanza. So iko sasa maybe hata kuna Kenyan strain, but sasa sisi tunasema tu hiyo yote kila kitu iko third wave. Na hatujachukua vaccine, bado tuko skeptical, bado hatufuati social distancing, bado hatufuati all the precautions. The precautions that you just read about, is it umesema the what company was that? Kemsa or ama ulisema nini? Those they are really given priority. It will be so much helpful. But because we are Kenyans, we ought to just depend on what the president say and tunalia kila siku serikali, then it will be a bit difficult for us to handle this issue, and this issue is dangerous. Corona is dangerous. Kenya tuko chini in terms of health, so inafaa sasa sisi kama raia tusaidia serikali pia kuwa more cautious because of our lives.
Right, Nicholas Rono. Nicholas kama akowera akojobo. Aya, Steve David, finally on that.
Okay, I will pick from where AMB Alfred amewachia, and it's about lockdown. Okay, you're getting me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. You see one thing with lockdown, unless you are you intend to achieve something, then you can impose a lockdown. For instance, you can maybe say you lock down Nairobi, then you do testing, isolate those who have COVID, then when they heal, you can reintroduce them back to the society. That is one way how a lockdown would work.
All right.
So for a nationwide lockdown would not help, because if you, as you have said, you as a person in Malaba is COVID, if you lock him down, how would you be helping that person? And it goes with vaccination. If we had a program of vaccinating, when this thing came into Kenya, I thought, I was discussing with some friends, I said, we should start with people in Nairobi, arresting in Nairobi, lock down Nairobi, those people who have it, isolate them. So for now, I assume without that assumption, the virus will not have spread to many parts in the country. So for instance, now that we have a vaccine, we would be dealing with roughly even less than 500,000 people, and we could vaccinate them quite easily. But for now, even if we lock down, it will not even help. So I think we are just, as a nation, we have to pray.
Okay. Tuongeza maombi sasa. Mali imefika.
Yes.
Aya, na finally tufunge na siasa. NASA fallout. Malala jana ameng'olewa, na imesemekana kwamba ameng'olewa na wabunge wa NASA, masenators wa NASA. Now, ANC is part of NASA. Malala is part of NASA. Now they're coming back. ANC goes back and writes a letter and says that NASA, ODM, is acting out of his jurisdiction. Wanasema kwamba ni ODM ndio aliwatoa. The decision was ratified as a NASA decision. Now, ANC is fighting back. They have a press conference that is going to happen today. I don't know what they're going to say. That is Musalia Mudavadi, Gideon Moi, wanajita One Kenya Coalition, and Kalonzo Musyoka. Now, yesterday, the press was supposed to happen, but I understand that the president rained down on them, and they're saying that he doesn't want Raila Odinga to feel isolated. So NASA is falling apart the way Jubilee fell apart. Now, what's going to go on? Or what's going to happen in this country? Malala is home, and Malala is crying. Jana Malala alikuwa KTN, alikuwa na mwaga mtama kabisa. Arama.
Gerald, unajua inafaa tufunge churches show na all the comedy shows and just put these MPs on stage, because they are giving us material every day. I mean, first of all, let me say this. It's a prerogative of whichever party to do what they want to do as far as leadership structure is concerned. Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, who is a lawyer, is very much aware of the rules that govern selection of leadership, just the way Jubilee did. whether they did it in the how can I say this? The image portrayed is not good. But the question is, when I read the process, what they used and the voting that was done to ratify that decision, is just like any other place, a democratic process, majority. If the majority of the senators voted to kick you out in their caucus, they will kick you out. You don't have a choice. I mean, this is not a birthright. So for Malala, my question goes back to the same thing that I said with the Rungu Kangata and the other people, and everybody else. When you were in that position, what did you do that helped Kenyans?
Yeah.
Because I'll be fighting right now for Malala. If he was there, he had put in bills, he had put in motions to help Kenyans with the COVID right now, the fuel crisis, with all the levies and everything else. If he had put those things in place and I said, okay, this was an effective minority whip or whatever position he was, then I would support him. But he was there just enjoying the perks. Na kupiga kelele na kwenda huko anaenda kulia ati pesa yake imeibiwa during the by-election.
Like 2 million.
People. Yeah, he should be in jail, first of all, for bribing voters. So to me, this is, unfortunately, Kenyans, this is who we have put in office. And just look, take notes. When the time comes, deal with them, discipline them. Mimi, I don't feel sorry for Malala. I'm sorry. You have enjoyed your pay and your perks. At least where hukuacha kama mrukwame kwa barabara gari ikaenda. At least you were there already, so you knew what was coming. So I really don't feel anything. And for these people who are going to hold a press conference, what are you going to do? It was ratified. The speaker ruled on it. He said it was procedural. It's done. Go ahead and plan for the next election that you've been planning for with your coalition.
All right. Masia ameshalala.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No mercy for Malala. Malala Masia ameenda kulala, so we'll go to Doro. Alafu this is the last round, we go to Doro. Alafu tuende kwa Rono. Nicholas Rono, tuende kwa David. Kifunga Doro.
Able to reframe your question again, please, for me?
You talk about the fallout in Kenyan coalitions. The NASA, Jubilee ilianza ikaanguka. Now NASA is falling apart. Yesterday they kicked out Malala. And ANC and KANU and Wiper is coming to fight back against ODM. Yesterday's decision was ratified as a NASA coalition agreement in Parliament. Now the members of NASA are the first ones to cry loud. And they are saying they are turning it on ODM.
First of all, I think all those parties in Kenya, they need to be nullified because there's no meaning. Sasa hata tuko na opposition kweli. I don't think we have opposition because the face of opposition ako sasa ni bro wa preso. So I think we literally, actually, we should come up with one party and name it, tuweke watu watatu huko mbele for presidency, especially that's complicated. Right now, I don't even know who's being fronted really for presidency. Kenya, we should get to a point where we're picking, where we're picking someone who's a doer. And I'm not going to say who's in my mind right now or who actually can handle Kenya right now. Maybe that would be a conversation for another day. But Kenya tumezoea tabia mbaya. We're just playing around a little circle of a few leaders who have not done anything. Na bado tunacheza tu kwa hiyo circle, and we're going to pick someone from that circle and then go through another 5 years of hell and then just go back and go to wale wenye wamebaki kwa hiyo circle. That game needs to stop, honestly. Huyu mtu wa Tanzania mwenye amekufa, hata kama alikuwa watu wanasema alikuwa mgumu, alikuwa anafanya nini, he did a lot of work that Tanzanians can look back and remember him. Aliinua hiyo nchi. He was tough, he was rough, but he was a doer. He did things that can be seen up to now in his death. Amelala lakini amewacha nchi, amepatia challenge to the next leader. So Kenya, we need to start opening our eyes to watch who make the same mistakes. I know this might not sound very good to everybody listening, But I have a lot of controversial ideas in my head. Oh my goodness, we talk.
I used to get
One
them
day
next
maybe-
week. Mapema uingie mapema next week. We want those controversial ideas that you have in your mind.
I will bring them. And honestly, if Kenyans can wake up and just listen, first of all, I can say something here. Wanaume inaonekana mmeshindwa kazi ya kulead Kenya for now.
So tupewa mama kidogo.
Wamama wapatiwe hiyo kazi. Mtaona a country with a mother can, angalia kwenu, just go back to your own home. Who runs that? Nani anarun hiyo? Baba yako ni kichwa ya hiyo mji, is the head of the home. But who is the neck? It's your mother. If you cut off the neck, the kichwa will not function.
The head is dead.
You cut off the neck, the kichwa will not function. So if you cut off the neck, the kichwa will not function. So sorry for repeating myself.
No problem.
So Kenya saizi wa baba leo muko brothers, kesho mnatukanana, kesho kutwa tuko na opposition, that last week hatuna. Then there's a lot of munachimbana sana. So for now, wa Kenya, I know it's 2021, 2022 is around the corner. I know we are going to make a big mistake for 2022, but at least for 2020, which one is the next one? 27. I hope tutakuwa tumechanuka, and hopefully mtatupatia nafasi wale wenye tuko na midomo kaya tuongee before
tunataka
election
kabisa
2022. Tuongee before 2022 ndio. Tusaidie wa Kenya at least to reason, and sisi wenyewe, mimi ni Mkenya, so whoever the president is affects me. Tusaidie wale wenye mko nyumbani, wale mnaweza vote, to make a good decision, because I see a mistake repeating itself. Hii mambo ya hustler, mambo ya dynasty, mambo ya sijui nani, mambo ya who, it's all not making sense, and I'm telling you, it's a waste of time. It's a lot of yappy, and then at the end of the day, who's gonna suffer? Ni mwananchi. Those people will be happy. They'll be fine. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's where my head is for now. Yeah.
Okay, asante sana Doro. Nicholas, kama upo? Nicholas upo? Kama Nicholas amerudi kazini, Steve David tufungie.
Okay. The one thing about politics in Kenya is that most of these politicians, they don't believe in anything. As a politician, you don't even have ideals. For me, I want to venture into politics, maybe in the near future. I tend to believe I'm a conservative politician. Things like small government, constitutional democracy, you see, I believe in those things. But in Kenya, what we have is opportunists. And like Doro had said, these are the same people. They camouflage into and mutate into something else. Look at now, you have Mudavadi, Wetangula, Kalonzo. These are they are babies of Khan. Unaona? Saizi wanajaribu kujiingiza kwa siasa, and they are offering themselves as at one kg. They are the same class. Someone like Malala, ODM made that guy. You see, at some point, he crossed over kidogo ile wakati they were hosting leaders at the Senate, akavuka hii side ya kina hii ya tanga kidogo. I mean, that guy, he doesn't stand for anything. So hata hizi malilio zake, for me, he's just a crying baby. So yeah, baby msalaba wake, like others have done. And we need to move on. Saizi tuko na shida nyingi nchi ina pesa, madeni, we have COVID here, then some people are calling a pressure. Pressure for what? So see, Kenyans pia inafaa tunajipenda kidogo. That over to you, Gerald.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. I really appreciate that. Rama, asante sana. Thank you so much for always being here. And with Pastor Doro, I know you joined us here for the first day. We really appreciate that you've also sacrificed your time. Ungefanya kazi. Steve David, karibu sana. Nicholas Rono, asante kwa kuja. Masi, asante sana kwa kushikilia pia. Genevieve, thank you so much. Ambassador Alfred Sajan, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. And, which is actually evening on your end. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Arama. Doro, make sure hizo mawazo zako umeleta next week. We really want to get to hear what you have to say. Nicholas Rono, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Next week tuonane wakati ni ule 7:30 African Nairobi time. Sijui wakati wenu utakuwa vipi, naona kuna wengine wanasema afternoon, wengine wanasema jioni, lakini nashukuru sana Arama. Let's keep mobilizing. Alafu tuongeze Doro kwa group ya WhatsApp ili tuweze kupanga kazi pamoja na kina Nicholas Rono pia. Nashukuru sana. I want to wish you guys a very good time wherever you are. The tacklers who have been with us, we really appreciate. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Diaspora Edition. The Tackle Diaspora Edition, the 25th of March 2021. We really appreciate you. Happy that you joined us and have been having a conversation with us. I'll see you again tomorrow on Sheria Wiki with Barak Muluka, Dr. Barak Muluka, Dr. Ekuru Okot na mawakili wengine pia. Tukizungumzie ni lipi ambalo limekuwa likiendelea Kenya hii kwa mambo ya kisheria na kotini. Until tomorrow, I have to see you. This is The Tackle and The Tackle ends now. Bye bye and take care. We love